Hello and welcome. This is a new episode from Aero Arduino, and in this episode I'm showing to you this first video from the basic electronics series and how to connect the breadboard to make our electronics circuits. If you didn't yet subscribe, please subscribe to our channel to get the latest videos. Many of our friends in the channel have asked about basic and simple electronics lessons, and here we start a new series about electronics and basic electronics and elementary discussions about electronics and circuits. And now we start using the breadboard. What is the breadboard and how we can use it? Here is the breadboard that you can see. First, we are dealing with Tinkercad simulation software. That's an online and free simulation software that you can use and learn electronic circuits and design. Of course, electronic circuits, like any other industry, has benefited from simulation industry and software because simulation enables you to learn and practice in many fields without consuming so much and without paying so much money to make for gadgets and hardware. But that doesn't, of course, is not enough. You need to learn about practical electronics and hardware, but you can first start with virtual and simulation to learn if you don't have the money or the gadgets, or you can start without damaging anything. Especially in electronics, if you are a complete beginner, you can blow something or you can destroy or damage something because of different voltages or different polarity. But here you can learn on simulators, and simulation has benefited so much industries like space and aviation and electronics and design in so many fields. Now here in Tinkercad you see that breadboard. First, the breadboard is a piece of plastic. This one is a transparent breadboard that has plastic cover with so many holes that you can put all the electronic pins and sensors and all the components inside those pins. And under those pins and under those holes you can see some kind of wires and tracks that make all the breadboard. So that breadboard enables us to connect all the electronic components without the need to solder or without the need to make it permanent. So you can make your prototype or you can learn to connect something on this breadboard. And in this lesson we are seeing how to connect and how we can learn to deal with this breadboard. Here are all that breadboard components. Here in Tinkercad it shows us the tracks that make that breadboard. Those are the tracks that connected together. All these are connected with one track, so they are only one connection pin. Any pin we connect it here, then they are connected together, and that one is another track, this one is another, and this one is another. In some breadboards this track is separated from this track, but here in Tinkercad it shows us how they are connected with this green line. When you hover over the different lines on the breadboard, and these are all are connected, so each one of this number 35 for example is connected. These are connected together and these are separated from them, but they are connected together. So each one of them is a 1 point. They are completely connected. So if we want to connect this point to this point, we just make a jumper wire like this so we can connect them. Here is another notation that we can use this track as the power or the VCC, and in some breadboards it's already notated that it's the negative terminal and that's the positive. Of course it doesn't have any significance because it's all passive, there is no voltage right here, but they have notated it and make that notation for us to make it easy to connect. So we can use this notation and we can connect those points together, and we can also make them with that notation, that the standard notation that the negative terminal is black, and we can connect that positive also together and make it red like in the electronics notation. Now we can make some good practice in this. That's the negative terminal, and that's also the negative terminal, and that's the positive, and that one is also the positive. So they are connected. Here we in Tinkercad we bring all the components we need. We can just click and drag them like this, or we can make some search. Here we delete it. Now we can get this battery, or we can search like this. So we have all the batteries like this, and now we can click and drag it. Now here the positive terminal, we can make a point like this and then connect it to the positive terminal, and then we choose to make that other negative terminal to connect it to the upper track. And if we want to color this wire or this wire, we just click on it until it's highlighted and those points appear. Then we choose the color that we want, and now it's colored with that color. Now in this arrangement here, that track is connected to the positive terminal of the 9-volt battery, and that upper track is connected to the negative terminal of the 9-volt battery. Now you can say that this breadboard is energized with power, and now we can start to make a simple circuit that we can control a motor. We can search for motors, and now we can bring that motor right here. That's the negative terminal. We can connect it right here to the power track, and that positive terminal connected to that one, and we also can make it red like this. If we connect it like this and then start simulation, now we can see that it's rotating with 286 RPM. Now he is rotating, that geared motor is now rotating. If we want to make some control over that motor, we can choose to connect a switch, that slide switch, that we can connect it right here, and then we can disconnect the motor from here, and we can connect it right here to that pin. Now it's connected to that track. Now the motor is connected to that track right here, and then we can connect the common of the slide switch to the positive or the negative terminal as we wish. Here we can connect it to the positive terminal, and then that other pin we can connect it to the motor, and we can color it black like this. Now in this circuit we can see that the switch is connected to the battery, to the positive terminal, and the other terminal of the switch is connected to the motor, and the motor is connected no, that's not right. We need to connect that pin to the negative terminal of the battery like this. Now you can see that that is the right connection. We connect the negative terminal of the battery to the slide switch, and then the switch is connected to the motor, and the motor is also connected to the battery. That's a series connection. Here in simulation we can easily change the connection without any harm or without any problems. But also on the breadboard it's useful for prototyping, that you can use to learn so many things. Now we can press start simulation. Here the switch on the on position, and now we can see the motor is rotating, and we can slide it to the other position. Now we can see the motor is off. It's on again. It's rotating. Now it's off. Now it's on. This connection is called series connection. The switch is connected in series with the motor and the battery. And we've seen how to connect the breadboard. How we can use it, and how we can connect all the different components. We'll see some other components and sensors and electronic components in more details in simple and basic electronic series. So if you like this video, please click like, share, and subscribe. Thank you and goodbye.